One moment, everything was normal. Then, they showed up, and nothing was ever the same again. Fame, fortune, chaos, and controversy followed. But was it really worth it? The story behind this rise is wild, emotional, and full of twists no one saw coming. Some say they helped him. Others say they nearly destroyed everything. So did they change his life for better or for worse? Let's break it all down. Let's start with the name that flipped everything, Courtney. She wasn't just a barber. She was the spark that lit one of the biggest arguments in Speed's personal life. Before Courtney came along, Speed had Amy. And Amy? Fans loved her. She was calm, kind, and sweet. And Speed seemed genuinely happy around her. They laughed together, shared moments, and even had that awkward, adorable first date that made everyone root for them. But then, things got messy. Courtney started getting involved in places she didn't belong, Speed's relationship, and she didn't just ask questions, she planted seeds, doubts, suspicion. Speed, usually full of energy and chaos, suddenly turned serious. Was Amy ignoring him? Was she cheating? Why wasn't she answering at 3 a.m.? It was just one conversation, but it spiraled fast. Speed started doubting the one person who always stood by him. Amy tried to explain herself, but Courtney's words had already done the damage. What started as a barber appointment turned into a full-blown relationship disaster. Eventually, Speed and Amy broke up, and while Courtney later apologized, it didn't really feel like an apology, more like damage control. Amy stood her ground, calmly calling out the interference, while Speed was left in the middle, confused, upset, and publicly heartbroken. Just like that, one person changed his path forever. But not everyone brought drama. Some brought pure chaos. And weirdly, it helped Speed rise even higher. Aiden Ross. Aiden set Speed up on a blind date that was supposed to be simple. It ended in complete shock. The person Aiden introduced him to was Ava, and Speed had no idea she was trans. That moment went viral. At first, Speed was mad, embarrassed, felt like it was a joke gone too far. But the internet doesn't pause, and neither did the stream. What nobody saw coming? Speed and Ava started talking more, and slowly, something changed. They got close, like really close. Suddenly Speed, known for screaming Sayu and chasing girls, was calling Ava his boyfriend, just like that. And while some fans were confused, others supported him. This wasn't the Speed people were used to, but it was real. And it proved something powerful. Even in moments meant to embarrass him, Speed found a way to be himself, unfiltered, honest, and maybe more mature than people gave him credit for. But not every twist in Speed's life was about love or jokes. Some were about the grind, the behind-the-scenes work that made his career possible. And nobody represents that better than one man, Slips. Next, we're diving into the guy who stayed in the shadows but built the whole stage. Slips, the man behind the camera. You might not always see him, but without him, there would be no IShowSpeed as we know him today. While Speed is loud, wild, and always on the move, Slips is the quiet one, holding the camera, catching every single moment. The funny, the crazy, the emotional. This guy isn't just a cameraman. He's the reason fans get to witness every second of Speed's wild journey, from traveling the world to screaming in excitement over a new goal. But Slips didn't just film. He stood by Speed through it all. When Speed got swatted, yes, a real SWAT team breaking down the door, Slips was right there, making sure the stream didn't miss a beat. He kept recording, stayed calm, and made sure the truth got out. That's loyalty most people dream of, and it didn't stop there. From car crashes in foreign countries to people trying to leak their location live, Slips always had Speed's back. One time in Peru, a stranger was secretly streaming their spot. Dangerous, right? Slips didn't stay silent. He stepped up and shut it down immediately. That's the kind of friend Speed needs, and thankfully has. But perhaps the most touching moment, when Speed finally met his hero, Cristiano Ronaldo. This was Speed's dream, the moment he had worked so hard for. And even though Slips could have taken a selfie with the football legend himself, he didn't. He chose to stay behind the camera, capturing the perfect shot. For Speed, that one decision showed exactly who Slips is. Loyal, humble, a real one. Now, not all the people who changed Speed's life were famous or even well-known. Sometimes it takes just one comment, one message to spark something huge. Enter Bradley. This name might not ring a bell, but trust me, it should. Back in 2022, Bradley donated a small amount during one of Speed's streams and asked a simple question: "What football team do you support?" Speed's answer? Cristiano Ronaldo. That tiny moment started the fire. Suddenly, Speed wasn't just a streamer. He was the Ronaldo fanboy. The Sue screams, the football content, the international trips to meet Ronaldo, all of it started with Bradley's question. And later they actually met. Speed gave Bradley a hug like he had just met a long-lost brother. It's wild to think how one donation, one name in a chat, could spark a whole new chapter in Speed's life. But it did. Still, not every influence in Speed's life came from outside. Some of the biggest struggles came from his own home. Because while Speed was blowing up online, in real life, things were tough. Living with his mom brought moments that were sometimes funny, sometimes heartbreaking, and very real. One night, Speed hit a major subscriber milestone. Thousands of fans were watching, but before he could even celebrate, his mom shut it down. Not because she didn't care, but because it was loud, too late, too much, and that wasn't the only time she stepped in. Up next, the moments with his mom that tested his patience, his passion, and his love, all at once. At first, Speed's relationship with his mom wasn't easy. She didn't understand what streaming was. To her, it looked like her son was just yelling at a screen, making noise at night, and ignoring everything else. He would walk into his room and shut things down, sometimes even cutting the Wi-Fi. To viewers, it felt shocking, but for Speed, it was normal. He couldn't scream, couldn't be loud, couldn't be himself. Not fully, and his fans saw it all live. One time he got so frustrated that he broke down mid-stream. He couldn't even celebrate with his fans the way he wanted. It was painful to watch. The boy who gave the world so much energy didn't have space to be that person in his own house. Then there were the awkward moments, like when his mom walked in, demanded money, or hit him on camera. Even Speed's friends started roasting him. To some, it was funny, but behind the screen, you could tell it hurt. He wasn't a big celebrity in his house. He was just a kid trying to make it. But through all of that chaos, there was still love. When Speed got swatted and police came rushing in thinking something terrible was happening, his mom came running. She didn't care about cameras or what anyone thought. She was furious and scared. She stood up for her son, demanding answers, protecting him like only a mom can. That's when people finally saw the other side of her. She wasn't just someone yelling at Speed. She was his protector. Over time, things changed. As Speed grew more famous and successful, his mom began to understand. She realized this wasn't just some silly hobby, it was his future, and more than anything, it was real. Now, she supports him. She's proud. The same woman who once shut off his internet now stands beside him at award shows. She cheers him on. She sees what the world sees, a star, her son. Speed even bought her a house, gave her the life she always dreamed of, and no matter how crazy things got, no matter how loud he was or how much he told him to quiet down, she always cared. She was always there. So whether it was Courtney creating drama, Aiden throwing surprises, or Slips filming every second, none of them knew Speed the way his mom did. They all changed his life, but she raised him, she made him. And through all the UPS and downs, one thing is clear. Speed wouldn't be Speed without the people around him. Some helped, some hurt, but they all shaped the wild ride we now call IShowSpeed.